Oh, first of all, I'm back in America with the ladders. I feel so good. It feels so good to get good food again. Sorry, Canada. The food sucks.
Oh, buddy.
Good service, good food. America runs at this pace that I'm used to, and I love. Money, 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 energy, 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 fight, fight, fight. Canada's a little too hippy-dippy for me anymore.
So you're back in Kentucky. Was yesterday a travel day for you?
Yeah, a big travel day. So I was watching the US Open on my phone, set nicely in the middle of my console in my car. And just knowing, I just knew, because my only out this week was Bryson winning. I had a pretty nice bet. Obviously, I put my life on the line for Cam Smith, and I'll own that. However, my tweet was, just to go back, was a picture of Cam Smith and it said, "Don't say I didn't tell you." Now, I didn't say, "Don't say I didn't tell you what." I said fade. I could have said fade, but we were heavy into Cam Smith. I thought he actually played better than his score said.
Yeah.
But I mean, Bryson with a 2-shot lead, 3-shot lead, should have been a 4-shot lead, and then Rory started charging. I thought, okay, that's it. I was too good to be true. And then when he missed I didn't see the putt on 18. I didn't see it. I just knew he dropped down to -5, Rory, and I was just outside of Dayton, in Ohio, and I literally almost drove off the road celebrating because I knew the Bryson shares had a chance. And this is a question to you, the driving side of the game, if you look at the leaderboard, was so important all week. And Bryson, how many times was he in this pine weed and it really didn't matter, right?
Yeah. And I don't know if you caught some of the telecast, like some of the commentary, but Brandel was apoplectic that Bryson wasn't getting penalized more from being in the wire grass.
Oh, did Brandel hate it that Bryson was winning?
He was, I would say, apoplectic about it. I tweeted about it earlier, but I'm
telling you, Bryson's so good for the game that he's made a complete turnaround in my books. I was wrong, not wrong, but there was a different version of him a couple of years ago. He cares more about the fans legitimately and the game than any other golfer on earth. He's carrying the water for Liv as a salesperson. He's like salesperson of the year. And they're showing him a deck, a PowerPoint deck to the other Liv players saying, "Why aren't you doing this?
Sure.
Why aren't you signing people's hats after the 16th hole?"
Yeah, I think his role in growing the game isn't really doing anything for Liv. I think it's doing more for YouTube, which is more important.
It won't do anything for Liv because it's just not real competition. But
right. I mean, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the golf course? Do you want to start with Bryson? Do you want to start with Rory? Do you want to kind of steamroll a little bit past the US Open and talk Travelers? Like I'm an open deck. I've got takes on everything.
Well, since Rory skipped his, and listen, I'm not interested. And by the way, I'm trying to charge my computer as I do this whole process, and it's not charging, so I may die. But there it is. I'm not interested, as I said, in a tweet, and a very prominent broadcaster DM'd me, Flex, when I talked about the things that live golf television needs to evolve to in this century. Less interviews, fewer recaps, fewer commentary, less fear of dead air. Just set up the shot and let it run. And then to see more golf shots. One of the things is I'm never really interested in seeing a post-round interview at all, let alone from someone who just really gave up the US Open and had it in their grips. I don't want to hear it's hard for me to digest. I don't want to hear from Rory. Obviously, he's so competitive, it sucks. So it doesn't, what matters for me going forward is, because he's in the field this week at the Travelers, and I'll ask you this, is how does this play in his psyche moving forward?
I thought about this a lot. I've probably spent hours and will continue to spend hours psychoanalyzing what goes on behind the scenes with Rory. I think at the end of the day, what this comes down to is, I forgive myself for repeating this, but I went to the Masters this year and watched Rory in a practice round, and I watched a lot of players in different practice rounds, and Rory was the best player on property at Augusta. I will stand by that take times 100. I walked that golf course for 16 hours for 2 days straight, Monday through Wednesday, watched all of the big names in the field at Augusta, and Rory was the best player on property in his practice rounds.
Yeah.
And then he got to the first tee on Thursday at the Masters. I was standing there by the first tee watching him, ready for him to go win the tournament. And it's like a completely different person. It's like the guy got body snatched. I don't know. The execution, the shots, the face, the walk, the strut, the energy, the vibe. It was a completely different person the second they put a peg in the ground on Thursday. And I said to myself after experiencing that, I'm done. I am done believing that this guy is ever going to win. I've battled with Kobe on this week.
Yeah.
All I am done believing that this is going to. I root for him. I'm a big Rory McIlroy fan, but if it happens, I'm gonna miss it. I'm just gonna miss it. And gosh, watching this, man, I was there for big time Rory defeats at St. Andrews and LACC, and this one felt the most difficult to stomach, even myself not being as, emotionally invested in Rory, as financially invested in Rory in DFS, but not as emotionally invested in Rory as I have been in the past. And I think what I keep coming down to is, we've seen this before, right? DJ three putted from 10 feet to lose a US Open. He came back and won the US Open the next year. Phil Mickelson had one of the worst defeats I've ever seen in the history of golf at Winged Foot in 2006 and won 6 majors after that. He blew Marion on Sunday at the 2013 US Open and came back the next major and won the Open Championship. Okay. So this would not be the first time that players have come back from crushing defeats. I think the issue that I have with it is that you take the DJ example, and I think DJ's greatest ability was to not care and to be able to compartmentalize. So when DJ 3 putts to lose the US Open at Chambers Bay, maybe his mindset is different in that moment.
That's what Phil said. He said, to be really great at
Yeah.
golf, you have to be really smart or really dumb.
Yeah. And I think Rory hasn't. I think Rory is
he gets
far
tight.
the former
I
than
think
the latter.
I think he realizes, this is my moment. I'm 34, 35 now. The window's closing. The pressure of the moment catches up with me. And some guys can, very few guys can get to the point, because he played amazing golf, obviously. I mean, look how Scheffler played. Look how, some of these other guys down the leaderboard play. They're amazing golfers worldwide. But he tightens up. And then you see a guy like Bryson, who from his first few holes on Thursday, he looked like he was on a mission. Like he was mission driven. There was nothing going to stop him from winning, except the pine weed, which didn't. Now, if it was a longer rough, his accuracy off the tee was terrible.
Winged Foot. There was a higher missed fairway penalty here than Winged Foot. It's just when you hit, I know so. When you hit the ball that long, listen, he got a little bit lucky, I suppose, in some spots. That happens to everybody winning a major championship. Bryson didn't play great on Sunday. He didn't drive the ball well on Sunday. He
had some all-world.
He played good enough.
Game.
He played good. He played good enough.
Yeah.
He played good enough to win on a very tough golf course and hit some incredibly high leverage, important golf shots. Right. And you nailed it with the thing with Rory is these opportunities are so fleeting.
Oh my God. And that's why he
People,
left. He's like, fuck.
yeah. Yeah. And I'm kind of more in the camp of, he's deserving of criticism for not doing media. I understand both sides to the coin, but Norman in 96 did media after blowing a 6-shot lead at the Masters. Sean Vandevelde did media. Mito Pereira got electrocuted on the 18th hole at Southern Hills and did media after. I think you can shake the guy's hand. I hear both sides of the argument, but I would be more in that camp personally. And the point is, there's 4 of these a year, and I don't know how many majors that we're going to have over the next 5 years where you're going to get this poor of a Scheffler performance. So every single time, and Rory's 34, okay, and the golf is going in the other direction, okay?
Yep.
The days of Phil Mickelson hitting his prime from 35 to 42, that's gone. The prime now is Ludwig, right? And
Oh my God. Yeah.
and Rory's on the wrong side of 30, and I don't know how many more chances of these he's going to get.
Like with these like micro edges that you need to close out a tournament, let alone a major. I still feel, and listen, I'm not Rory. I'm not a billionaire. I'm not one of the best golfers of all time. I'm just saying observationally, I believe the caddy player relationship plays a role.
I could do an hour on this. Yeah.
In the final moment, to someone just grab him by the fucking scruff and say, you're going to make that goddamn putt.
Yeah.
I think it's a problem for JT. I think it's an issue for Rory. I think Rory on talent alone, you or me could win 4 tournaments a year just on talent, right?
Yeah.
But at that moment, he needs someone to say, you got this, you motherfucker. You're that good. And maybe he doesn't, push the putt. I don't know. Tremendous. I mean, listen, Rory versus Bryson, incredible U.S. Open, incredible course, picture perfect finish. Bryson's so good for the game. There are very few players in the world right now that you would say, I want to maybe stop and watch play. Bryson kind of is interesting, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was
Pavone too for not finishing that putt out. What was that?
I think Bryson wanted him to.
Okay.
Bryson wanted to go first. But I agree with the general sentiment. I
want to rail on the French for a second.
Right. I was expecting Pavone to exit that tournament far earlier than he ended up doing.
Oh my God. That was the kill shot, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was
Cantlay for that matter too, hung around a lot longer than I had expected.
I mean, you talk about the same sort of internal demons. It was an expectation in our Discord. Like, when's it going to happen?
When's it going to happen? There was, it's a really underrated storyline is that like Cantlay had many times to win this US Open. If you actually like go back and look at the hole by hole, Cantlay had so many like short makeable putts to really take the reins at the US Open and build some momentum. And I think the Discord largely felt the same way. Like, I didn't think one of those was going in. Not one of those was going in. And that doesn't mean that I don't.
And by the way, Rory, if Rory wants any sort of resolution to the terrible outcome that he had on the 18, he made a ton of putts. He never makes.
He was 8th in the field in putting on Sunday.
He shouldn't have been there
inside 4 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was 8th in the field in putting with 2 misses inside 4 feet. So you can say, does it even out? Gosh, it's just hard to look at it that way. But like, for example, Rory made 4 putts over 15 feet in his first 13 holes of the golf tournament. Just for context, like he didn't make that many putts over 15 feet over the weekend at LACC and lost by 1 stroke.
Bro, when Bryce had a 2-shot lead or whatever it was, and Rory started making 22-foot putts every fucking hole, I was driving down I-75 Flex, and I was just I said, fucking perfect, just fucking perfect. Of course, my
Yeah.
only salvation was an outright on Bryson.
Yeah, yeah. It's the one, like, through the first 13 holes. It's like, okay, here's that one putting round that we've been waiting for Rory McIlroy to have in a major for a decade, and then it all.
And
all
Scotty
falls
couldn't
apart.
get anything right on those.
Yeah.
Greens.
Yeah. And you know, I got to give credit to Kobe on the, you know, he talked about this on the show, and I started to have like this dark foreboding sense of the problematic course fit with Scotty. Talked about it on the Wednesday show. Yeah, we could. I'm down. I'm down. Like,
Baba Mac.
If you want to do that, I'm down.
I thought you wanted less recaps, Wiley. Baba Mac. I'm just telling you. This is part. As we talked about before the show, this is part of the life you just have to do. I don't even look at my replies anymore. Just like, people are gonna hate me for shit.
Listen, it's the U.S. Open. This is a Traveler show.
Right.
We'll spend a lot of time on Traveler.
Let's go to Cromwell.
Okay,
so I sat down. I just got back into Lexington. Yeah, exactly, Antonio. I just sat down. I went through my course history I know the course has changed. I went through my course history, my notes I make myself about the Travelers, and I put them out there on the internet, having not read your beautiful article yet. So I was like, fuck it. And this may counter everything Andy has said, an actual person who digests course information and puts it out there. Exclusive to Run Pure Sports, by the way. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, my notes said multiple types of golfers can win here. Mm-hmm. Informed ball strikers, shocker. Good wedge play. I'm thinking about Bubba 2018, his drive on 18. It was like 370 yards, wedge in, and he won. Mm-hmm. Best player's going to win. It's hard to describe this course, so maybe you can do it better. Mm-hmm. But it's typically, for me, it's been someone who's had good lead-in form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's been some changes to the golf course that I outlined in the article. You know, not a lot of people are going to talk about that stuff. That's what I'm here for. But, you know, you had to do some research and figure out what they changed. Rory called the golf course obsolete last year, and the PGA Tour.
What did he mean by that?
Well, there was record scoring last year, right? Like Keegan won at 23 under. The scores were really low last year, I think, for a signature event. Travelers, by the way, like, I went to high school in the area. I have a lot of friends going this week. Our guy Isaiah is in the area. Like, there are
Isaiah DFS.
Great guy. I think he has a giveaway for us too at some point.
Hell yeah. Step on up.
Yeah. Yeah. He, or in any case, the scoring was really low last year for a confluence of factors. And they made changes to, you know, 33% of the holes this year that I think is actually going to affect. I
love how you corrected that, by the way.
Of a subsect of players.
6 and 18.
Yeah, a subsect of players. Mainly, more in my opinion, the players like Rory that were the ones that said the golf course is obsolete, as opposed to like the more average player in terms of ball speed and distance. But I break all that down in my article. I think the fascinating thing to talk about this week is, like, first of all, we have Scheffler at 12.5 coming off his worst performance of the season. He lost 6 strokes putting. We don't have a 5K,
not a 13K Scheffler in a shorter field.
Not a 13K Scheffler. We don't have a 5K range this week. We don't have a cut. And
there is no cut. That's official. There's no 55 and tie. Nothing.
No cut. 72 players in the field, and like I mentioned, no 5K range. And I think a pretty, like, fascinating narrative angle with a lot of these guys. Like, I think this is the first time in a couple weeks where I don't know what the perception of Scheffler is. Like, I don't know how people that hammered Scheffler last week feel about going back to him here after he kind of killed them last week?
I feel
I don't
great.
think this is a good golf course for Scheffler.
You don't.
No, it's all relative, right? Like, I didn't think Harbour Town was a good golf course for Scheffler. It's just like, is this a golf on the scale of like golf courses that accentuate what Scheffler does well? Like, this golf course is just on the lower end of that. Like, it's gonna be more difficult for him to separate with his ball striking at this golf course. He's gonna need to putt to play well here. Okay.
What was the
And he
winning score
lost
last year?
23 under.
That's a lot.
Probably 20 this year.
That's a lot of good putts for Scheffler.
Yeah. So you have that. You have quote unquote broken Rory, right? Like, what's the narrative there? This is like one of the more heartbreaking defeats in probably in golf history. We also, heard Xander got destroyed by Rory at Quail Hollow, and he came back the next week and won the PGA Championship. Like, your mileage may vary on how you feel about how Rory's going to respond this week. And we can go farther down and get.
Can you imagine like Rory having to go there, do interviews, do practice rounds, do pro-am with all of the stuff lingering from last week, plus your personal life stuff in the mix? I mean, he's just loading a lot right now and needs about a week off, in my opinion. I'm not Rory McIlroy, but if I were him, I'd say, listen, fuck this. I mean, I'm just,
Yeah, he's kind of like hit the bingo card for off the course noise. I don't really know what more could fall into his. I mean, there's like a massively ongoing PIF negotiation that we've just forgotten about because I think people are just tired of talking about that until something more concrete happens.
That's right.
He had one of the more shocking, like calling off a divorce, one major championship, only to filing divorce papers, only to say that was not happening a couple weeks later. And then he just blew, one of the most difficult major losses in my lifetime as a golf fan.
Ryan Miller doesn't agree. He said the Alfred Cup is so overblown by you guys, honestly.
So I agree. So here's what I want to say to Ryan, because I agree with you to a certain extent. The point that I would make about Rory is that we have played bingo. We've hit the full bingo card in terms of things going on off the golf course with Rory that we can talk about. And we have now, like I said, hit the full bingo card in terms of like off the course, distracting situations that could happen to Rory that you would think would make him stink, and he doesn't stink. Okay. Getting divorced, getting back together, plays well. Being the shadow commissioner of the PGA Tour while getting backstabbed by Jay Monahan, plays some of the most statistical, strong golf of his entire career. Okay. Breaks off an engagement, wins 3 major. Like, we've
and also dummying Patrick Cantlay on Sunday at a major, right?
Yeah, there's just like, listen, if you like Rory this week, play Rory this week. Like, your guess is as good as mine about how the off the course.
But I'm always in the like the micro percentages of things that make a difference with your game, and that's why, Ryan, I'm not overblowing it. I don't think it makes a 90% difference, but any difference from a missed putt is a difference, right? I mean, you're talking about guys who are expensive, who need to probably win or come close to the win at that price. I'm like, okay, what's a reason for me to say that Aubert plays better than him? I'm probably going to weigh that, like Spieth. I mean, he's just not the same player anymore. I mean, he's not the same. He doesn't have the same fanfare anymore. It's just like a guy who's not great, like Ricky, or even JT's getting that category. I mean, dad life, family life, it's just different now. And so that stuff matters. I listen, closely monitoring Scheffler in this program as well, right? We'll take the U.S. Open as a write-off, but new dad, hasn't been home a lot, family guy, but is Scotty broken? That's right, Stewie. I mean, I'm like, that stuff is like,
yeah. Listen, as a golf show, it's like, it's naive not to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
As a data guy, I have a difficult time quantifying that stuff, but I mean, this is like a golf show.
To summarize that entire stanza by me. Aubert at 10-2, 4-day, no cut, birdie maker, fucking winner.
Yeah.
This kid is unstoppable. He's so good.
Yeah, Ryan, just to like put a bow on this, like I could build a completely just golf course related reason for why I don't like Rory as well. I think the golf course changes that they made are largely going to affect Rory and the way that Rory plays golf, maybe more so than any other player in this field. So
Ryan Miller, one of the best USA goaltenders of all time.
There you go. So you can let's just put the golf, the off the course stuff with Rory aside. If you're more interested in the arguments from a golf course fit perspective of why he wouldn't play well there, I'm happy to have that conversation too. Yeah. So, I mean, we both like Ludwig a lot. That's maybe dangerous. The other guy that I wanted to ask you about, as we move a little bit farther down, we'll get there. There's one guy first is, are you buying the Cantlay is back? Because Cantlay is now returning to his favorite golf course on tour. He's been unbelievable at TPC River Highlands, short positional Pete Dye golf courses, bent grass. This has historically been his best type of golf course over the years. And, Pinehurst tested all aspects of
Memorial,
his game.
though, right?
Yeah, 100%. But you can't fake your way around Pinehurst, obviously. And I think he hung around in that tournament far longer than I think any of us expected. And actually his best ball striking day came on Sunday playing with Rory.
Yeah. I mean, to me, he looked good. I always thought, and his game hasn't just matched it because he's missed some clutch putts. But he's got an entire package, right? He's good at everything. I like him on more difficult courses. I don't know if I like him this week. I like going back to players with a significant price value and then fading players, Sam Burns, with a significant price increase who had a good week last week. Like a Hovland, didn't play well for people in a birdie fest. Just on the numbers alone, and people are probably pissed off at it. But a Hovland, I could look at. Aubert, I can look at. You can build a lot of these lineups for guys that like Zalatoris is 7,100, dude. I mean, he's getting the sixes now. Max Homa's in the 7Ks, right?
And I know that 7.9. We're talking about him as like the second best golfer in the world.
Right. And if you don't believe flop leg exists in this industry, just go to Harris English, go to Patrick Cantlay, right? These guys with absolutely no form just come back and stir it up. So, So in terms of Patrick Cantlay, I don't know yet. Sam Burns is winning. Brian Kirshner. Can we ban Brian Kirshner from the show? Possibly. Is that possible? You have that authority.
I don't agree with that. By the way, I like Sam Burns this week. I don't think he's winning, but
he's 9K. He was $60 last week.
He was. I think you do got to be careful with the buying high on a player coming off what happened at Pinehurst, and I suppose Cantlay would fall into this category.
Whatever, you'll be back, Brian.
Yeah, the point is like I could do you gotta. It's really funny. It's really funny.
We haven't done it yet. We're going to spend the last hour doing that.
The reason we're not talking about the U.S. Open is because people complain that we weren't.
Shut the fuck up. Oh, so Wiley, I thought you hated recaps.
Yeah,
you're right. You're right.
We were talking. Oh, just when we were trying to get things on the rails.
Is that our Kyle?
Yeah, it's our Kyle.
Okay.
Although I think we play a dangerous game claiming Kyle.
Oh, I claimed him. He's fine.
He's ours. It's our Kyle. Anyway, point being, what did you guys?
That's such a good point.
I think the new bit should be we just do 5 minutes of Travelers talk into 5 minutes of US Open recap talk so nobody can get a handle on what we're doing.
Let's just talk about the U.S. Open forever.
Forever. Yeah.
No,
okay.
I mean, what do you think up top then? I mean, like Aubert, you and I align on, right?
We are aligned on Aubert 100%. I want to see what the ownership comes in at a lot of before I make any definitive stands.
You talk about a tense Rory on 18. Aubert just seems numb to everything. He seems so loose.
Yeah. And what really murdered him, first of all, Ludwig was like the best ball striker in the field through round ones and round twos. The only reason Ludwig got exposed around the greens at Pinehurst the second that he started missing greens.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get exposed that way at Travelers or frankly, any other golf course that they see all season. So the point is, I would be careful too with a lot of some of the strokes gain stuff that you saw at Pinehurst. A lot of that stuff is pretty iffy from what I've heard from some of my other friends in the hashtag Data Boys community. So I would just be careful on overly judging harsh or positive on a player's performance at Pinehurst compared to what they're going to see this week at the Travelers. And that goes for Sam Burns. I think that goes for Cantlay. There's going to be massive overreactions to players that may have, rose to the occasion on Pinehurst, hitting wildly different shots than they will at Travelers or got maybe their teeth kicked in too. Like a good example of this, Wiley, is JT finished DFL at LACC last year and then top 10 the Travelers at 5%, right? And I'm not saying JT's necessarily going to play well this week, but JT played better at Pinehurst this week than he did at LACC last week, and then he top 10'd at the Travelers at 5%.
They will not come off the price of Fleetwood 9K, JT still high, Spieth, and then you have guys like Max Homa sub 8, Will Zalatoris 7-1. You have Shane Lowry in the 7s. Like JT and Tommy Fleetwood and Jordan Spieth continually.
Yeah. Why is Zalatoris and Homa and Wyndham getting the price, getting killed on pricing, but Spieth and JT are, and I actually like Spieth and JT this week, Ducks, but I would have expected them to both be in the 7K range. Like I'm surprised.
It's just a betting market. It just tracks the opening betting markets. I just don't think it gets it necessarily right. I mean, I guarantee you that Zalatoris is getting hammered on the books right now. I don't think anyone's going to bet necessarily Justin Thomas.
Well, yeah,
Russell Henley 8-6, Keegan Bradley 8-7. That's just I could never do that.
Right.
Fleetwood 9-1. Still. I mean.
Baba, my response to that would be is I'm chasing Ludwig on short positional golf course signature events. Ludwig has a very uncanny ability to raise his baseline on shorter golf courses, which is a little surprising because you would think of him being this bomber off the tee, and a golf course like TPC River Highlands may curb his greatest weapon a little bit, but like he won the RSM Classic in the fall. He's contended at every single signature event that we've seen on shorter golf courses. He contended at Pebble Beach. He contended at TPC Sawgrass. He contended at Harbor Town. And Ludwig does not get enough credit for being one of the best wedge players in the field and an absolutely unbelievable putter. Yeah. I think Ludwig's your winner this week, personally.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that. And just watching him take 20 seconds from club selection to shot with he gets his rhythm. It's beautiful. It's a perfect balance. He's got great timing. Versus watching a Sam Bennett, which may outpace Cantlay. I mean, it was insane. At some point, you're going to be like, I'm going to snap hook this. I'm overthinking this, but Aubert is just good rhythm, same pace.
It's aspirational.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Can Connors make enough putts here? I don't know, Ryan Miller.
He's been. I gotta say, there's really something.
Connors in majors though.
Something in the water with Connor's short game and putting now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a large enough sample size to say that aspect of his game is fixed, but Connor's has now had like 3 really solid short game and putting weeks in a row. So
Tom
I
Kim
do
could.
think that's absolutely something to monitor.
It's funny that Cam Young's still 7-6. Like if Zalatoris is 7-1, Cam Young should be 7-1. Like at what point will Cam Young? It was horrific last week. It was a plus 17 or plus massive score, right?
Yeah, I don't even think he like deserves our time, to be honest with you.
Good.
Unless there's like a specific question about Cam Young,
You know who does?
I look past him at that point.
Is Denny
Who
McCarthy.
does?
Denny.
Okay. Yeah, I could be talked into Denny here. I think he's a little overpriced for like who I think he is. But I would have hoped he would be in like the lower 7Ks. He's 7.5, which is fine.
I think he should be in the Kirk range, the Chris Kirk range.
Yeah. But I like Denny. The other guy that we didn't mention, do you want to any more lingering thoughts in the 8s and 9s, or do you want me to go a little bit lower? Can I give you the 2 guys? There's
Brian Harmon's course history here is insane.
Insane. Yep. I like Brian Harmon a lot this week.
Now I'm asking about Brian Harmon. Do you think it carries? Because he played okay last week.
Yeah, I do. I think Brian Harmon's like ownership dependent. I think Brian Harmon's going to play well this week.
Okay.
And it's in terms of whether I want to go to him. What I mean by that is it's going to be a little bit ownership dependent, but just in a vacuum on course.
I don't agree with this. I mean, Kirk had a great week. He eagled a few holes. I mean,
I like Kirk too.
Kirk's an automatic.
6.9. Yeah, I like Kirk too.
I mean,
you know who I really like this week, Wiley, is I wish he was like 8.5, but what about Sahith? Good at Harbor Town, good at the Players, contended at the Travelers before, almost won the Travelers the year that Xander won, played really well at the US Open after a terrible Thursday, bounced back strong and played really well Friday through Sunday. I wish he was a little cheaper than 8.8, but I think Sahith could win. I broke your brain because you weren't
only because I would say that. I would say that if he's surrounded by Burns and Fleetwood and Bradley and Henley and Thomas.
Yeah.
But the fact that Tony Finau was there and he contended, Tony Finau looked the part again in the major.
Yeah.
I think Tony Finau is a very good price discount. Yeah, not just okay, there you go, Ryan Miller. You and I agree. Finally,
not just play Finau. Maybe. I actually like Keegan too. I just think this is like such a perfect spot for Keegan. I know it's hard to go back to back,
but if you're fitting the top 3, I mean Xander and Rory and Scheffler in a birdie fest.
Well, you know who we didn't really talk about at all? What do you think about a Xander Aberg start? Like, are we sleeping on Xander a little bit? Xander's won this tournament before. He nearly led the field in approach play. You don't worry about like the scar tissue with Rory, right? You don't worry about what happens if the putter continues to struggle like with Scotty on another putting contest.
Yeah.
Xander's like, in terms
of
quiet
top 10 too, right?
Very quiet top 10, almost led the field in approach play, has played great on this golf course before, almost won the Players earlier this year. It's been a top 10 machine. He's got 12 top 10s and 14 starts this year. All the guy does is top 10 all year in signature events, regardless of golf course. I don't think you have to worry about putting issues with him the way that you have to do with Scheffler. And I don't think you have to worry about whatever off the course thing you want to throw in the Rory stuff either. And he's cheaper than both of them. I think I am maybe pretty heavy on a Xander Ludwig start, and then maybe like go all the way down to like Harmon or Straka.
Well, listen, if you like Chris Kirk, which I love, and no one's going to pull me off him, Michael Shalhoub, there he is. Michael Shalhoub, Rainmakers king, the king of Rainmakers, and a very, very, very handsome man. Bobby Mack bounce week incoming. No. But if you go like in the Chris Kirk, who I love, and Brendan Todd range on a 4-day week, you can build a lot of cool lineups with an Aubert, Xander, and still have a lot of good money left over. Lee Hodges, yeah. I mean, I underrate Xander every week. Totally.
He's just like the best. He's like, I don't think this based on talent, but he's just like the second best golfer in the world from a floor standpoint. Like right now, he just like, if you look at his top 10 rate, like he didn't even play well. Like he lost strokes off the tee at Pinehurst and like walked into a top 10, like didn't play well. I heard from, his caddy, he was like really struggling on the golf course. Like just like finished 9th at a US Open, like not loving the golf course, not driving the ball well.
He has the Spieth hand of God now. He runs so good.
He is such a good lag putter. He has such a great short game. He's probably the second best iron player in the world right now, statistically. Finau's up there. Connors are up there now once you get past Scheffler. I don't want to steam these guys too much. Like but
Schauffele's the guy like a Scheffler. When he's in trouble, he's never in trouble. He will always. He has too much game to get out of it. No, I like it. And I think that some of these guys in the 6s.
Can I give you one more elite 7K play?
Let's see what Kim, right?
Wasn't the guy I was going to mention, but I really like Siwoo this week. I really love Sepp Straka this week. I mean, Straka got murdered around the greens at Pinehurst. Like he just got completely exposed around the greens, which is going to happen to some players at that golf course.
And he destroyed Muirfield too.
Straka hit the ball super freaking well.
Yeah.
And I know he was like a chalk.
Everyone's going to play him.
Yeah, he was a Straka. He let down a lot of people as chalk, finishing T56 or whatever. He plays so well. Harbor Town. He's won the John Deere before, which is a very similar golf course agronomically and aesthetically. Harbor Town Players Championship. Like he plays really well.
Did you comp this to Potomac?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
so Homa fits. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to shout out Sepp. We can go to the 6s if you want.
Yeah, and no one will play Sepp at that price. With the prices below him, like when you got Lowry, we got Homa, we got we got Wyndham Clark, major winner, now below Sepp.
Yeah.
He'll come in very low owned because he was chalky last week. I will never not play.
Imagine just like tuning into a golf show and like understanding what that means.
Yeah, I'm just going to tweet that, Bob Mack. People Straka when we Batia'd. Yeah.
It's true. Batia was an elite play last week, but
Homa is disappointing, Ryan Miller. I agree with that. I agree with that. I still think he's an elite talent.
Who'd you rather play this week? I'm going to give you a 5-pack. Your favorite of this 5-pack. I'm telling you right now, just like I did at the US Open. I said this on the Wednesday show. I said, every single guy that you think is broken, there's going to be one player that is the freaking nuts. And it turned out to be Cantlay at 3%.
Cantlay.
But of this group of like, they're just bad. Homa, Zalatoris, Cam Young, Spieth, Justin Thomas. Those 5 guys, differing price ranges. Who's your favorite of those 5? I'm telling you right now, your guess is as good as mine of who it is. One of those guys top 10s. Mark my words. You can bookmark that. One of the 5 that everyone thinks.
I'm going to go through Homa's.
Happens every week.
Homa's missed 4 cuts here.
Homa has horrendous course history.
Horrendous. I mean, to me, because of price alone, Zalatoris 7-1, I think it's a good risk to take, right? Because he can still make birdies, right?
Okay.
And eagles. But give me Homa. I would say he's a good 2. Cam Young, I can't do it. I can't. Spieth seems injured. His swing just seems. I don't know. His swing just doesn't seem to fit him. Homa Ugg. And Justin Thomas is just not the same player at that price. I think Homa and Zalatoris are okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to mention Hovland because I feel like this is an Aubert Hovland week.
I feel like Hovland's the easiest answer. I don't want to put him in that category because I just really like I think that, he was second in the field in approach play on Friday. I think it was a massive overreaction to Hovland. Goshen, I'm down to take that bet. I have no idea how we'd figure out odds, but I would definitely take that as a gentleman's wager with you. I think I should be the underdog. It's kind of putting my balls on the table, but I do believe that one of those guys will play very well.
If the caliber of guys in the 7Ks are in the 7Ks, Spieth and JT don't need to be mid-8s. I don't know why.
I agree with you on the price. I think
7-3
in a vacuum of that group of 5, the player that I think is going to play the best is JT or Spieth. Personally, I don't agree that where they're priced, but Spieth's ball striking numbers were pretty provocative last week. Our guy in the Discord, I just want to defend him a little bit.
Who's this?
We had a guy in the Discord, Joey, who went to a practice round at Pinehurst.
Is that AZZ?
No. Tear It Up, or I forgot his Discord.
Tear It Up. I love that guy.
Yeah. And he was riding for Spieth at Pinehurst. He was like, Spieth looks like the best guy on property. And I love him, but I didn't play Spieth, but I was kind of rooting for him in spirit. And Spieth had his best ball striking week of the season by a mile. Spieth gained over 5 strokes on approach. He hasn't done that in over a year. So he lost 6 strokes putting and still finished 40th. So I believe that we're on a Spieth upswing right now, personally. And I think you could take advantage of the result not being very good at Pinehurst, but a deeper dive into I watched Spieth on Sunday morning. He missed 10 putts inside 10 feet over the weekend. It was freaking wild.
I will say that unlike a lot of courses, Travelers presents course history that's very unique. You'll have a JT Poston miscut, second miscut. Harris English miscut, win 1960th. Spieth, same thing. Won it and then shit for the next 7 years. So that's an interesting. Well, 2 guys have played well here consistently. Brian Harman
and Cantlay.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd throw Keegan. Keegan's got really good course history. Poston's funny because Poston has 5 miscuts and a runner-up.
That's what I'm saying. Poston miscut, second miscut.
Yeah.
So if you're going course history alone, except for Brian Harman, it could be a difficult venture for you.
Can I just briefly mention 2 guys that we haven't said one word about today? And I just, maybe if they're in a hypothetical 2-ball, you tell me who you prefer.
Okay. I'm going off for this.
We haven't once mentioned a player that was 35% at the US Open and finished T11. Now traveling to a short positional golf course. That's Colin Morikawa. And we also haven't mentioned one of the other most popular guys at Pinehurst who paid off the people that played him significantly with a solo 6th place finish and is a top 10 iron player in the world in Hideki Matsuyama. So I feel like we should just mention Hideki and Colin and where you stand on either.
Hideki looked awesome. I thought on Sunday he had a chance to maybe throw a 64 down and win, but he looked great. I just think 23 under, you got to make a ton of putts, man. And I think that's the difference with this course history stuff. Is is the putter moving or is it not? Harman is just generally a great putter, and I think that's why his form here works. Morikawa looked great. I faded him largely. I early on, I knew I ate it, and I thought I did it again. He's better than I thought. It's like Schauffele. It took me years.
I don't think the Morikawa fade killed you this week.
No, it didn't. And in the end, it did not. But early on, I'm like, there it is. He's good. It's like Schauffele. It took me years to figure out that he was good. It took me a year, actually, most of the credit to you, to figure out that Aubert was worth playing, and that was at Pebble Beach. I was like, oh shit, this kid is good. And he's right.
Aubert's sick. I love Ludwig.
But right, Antonio Seabass, right? I mean, again, contended.
I like Seabass. I like Seabass this week for sure. Coming off a kind of just middle of the road as chalk. I think he finished in the 30s. Going to be interested to see if people go back to him here. I like this golf course for him, so we'll see. He's right there in the Poston Denny category of, all those guys kind of do similar stuff.
We'll do our gummy plays on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I think mine was Mackenzie Hughes last week, which was terrible.
Wait, Mackenzie Hughes.
Sucks.
Mackenzie Hughes was your gummy play. He shot 82 on Friday. Can I say one thing too?
So throw that in there.
Yeah. Well, can I say one more thing too?
Okay. What?
I just want to apologize. This is going to be really niche. I just want to formally mea culpa something. I took the Stu Hagestad bit too far. And it's like it's like we've lost I feel like the Zach Johnson meme of like, we've lost the golf course. Like I kind of lost it with Stu Hagestad last week. And he was like my kind of joke gummy play of the week. And then and listen, this is a testament to how awesome my stuff has been this year, that people trust me this much. There were a few select sickos that I love. And you guys are the real OGs that were like, oh, I'm actually playing Stu Hagestad. I was like, guys, like, I freaking love Stu Hagestad. I'm not playing Stu Hagestad. Like, he's a 33-year-old investment banker. Like, this is kind of a bet because like, I kind of know him a little bit. He's still a 33-year-old investment banker, but I just want to say, I apologize for taking the bet a little bit too far. Because people actually started believing in the Stu Hagestad thing.
Yeah.
And that's
what I've realized in this small world of golf and Twitter influence and golf influence is that people do listen to what you say.
Well, in fairness,
and Hagestad, I thought that you did like him. I'm like, oh, it's something I should. I fucking played him, Andy.
Well, the thing I will say, all the people, we're talking about a select few, like we're talking about 3 or 4 people that played Stu Hagestad. I all sent them personal messages after and was like, dude, I'm really sorry.
You've got 3,000 more to go.
I took the Stu Hagestad bit too far, and every single response was like, dude, the only reason I listen to you is because you've made me so much money all year.
Yeah.
So
I mean, listen, you got to take stands on stuff. I joke that, I can go either way with Cam Smith, but I own that. That happens. It happens. Golf is very difficult to figure out how guys can play for. I locked Stu. Thanks, dude. Yeah.
No, the best bet was like 2 people played Stu Hagestad, and then we just started like turning into I walked Stu Hagestad, and so the bet became like each person was like upping their exposure to how much Stu Hagestad.
No, but listen, we've had the trouble with Run Pure Sports because we do like basically we put our entire player pools out there, and early on, some of us new to RPS were like, we're going to fade this guy. When you say fade, it's got to be a fucking 0, right? Because even if you have 5% and you win with it, it's like, well, I thought you said fade. So it's a credit to the people that listen to you and take what you say seriously. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's, again, we cleared a lot of the stuff in Discord. 69% Stu. You fuck Chris McDonald over?
Chris,
you asshole.
Chris is a legend. We were talking about Stu a little bit earlier with Chris. So anyway, point being, great week. Freaking awesome golf course.
Hey, Baba, again, I got to say this to Baba, okay? Because he wins, okay? If you understand that when you have huge player pools and gigantic amount of money outlaid, when you take hard stances on players, your player pool you don't want to fade anyone, right? I mean, I took hard stances on Scheffler. I took hard stances on Cam Smith. I took hard stances on Bryson and Minwoo Lee. That leaves me the opportunity to play one of literally everyone. It's okay to have that pick six combo. So it's okay not to fade anyone. Now, if you do 20% ownership in a 20-player pool, that's fine. But when you take hard stances on like a Scheffler or Bryson, you're playing 80% of your lineups, you've got to play 1% of fucking everyone, especially in like a showdown contest. You have to.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that one. I'm gonna leave that one to you, Prez. You can miss me with the Baba JBC thing. I stay out of those.
Listen, fights in Discord are fun. The key to our Discord is that everyone ultimately has the same goal. We all get along. It's a high stress, high risk environment, so you're gonna get chippy sometimes. I do too. Okay. I played Stuart Hagestad because of this asshole.
I love Stu, man. We'll see what he looks like at I don't know if he has the mid-am coming up. I think he's probably going to win that thing. He's the best.
Early on, it looked good, man. I'm not lying to you.
Yeah, it's 1 under through 3.
Yeah.
It's always the fourth hole at US Opens for Stu that kill him. He's leading the US Open at Brookline, which he actually ended up making the cut for. And then he tripled the fourth hole at Brookline, and it was curtains from that. Stu 3-putted from 3 feet on the fourth hole at Pinehurst on Thursday, and that was it. That was it for Stu. So
Prez told me to fuck off like 5 times after my punch slides including Golf Week, and I loved it. Yes, I get pissed at people too. It's okay. Ghost Chan was killing with Cam Smith, and I was just throwing shit.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I mean, I think your reasoning for Cam Smith was sound, to be honest with you.
What is this beam going through my head, by the way? I have not figured out my lighting.
Yeah, it's a weird one. All right, I got to. You
gotta go. I know. I got to do important stuff.
I got to pack. Go to New York.
I got to go meet.
Yeah.
I got to meet George Clooney at the fucking club.
At the club.
All right.
All right. Later, buddy.
Yeah, man. See you Wednesday.
Yep.